I'm the uh, Vancouver Chapter President. I have in the backstage with me Roberto, the Seattle Chapter President. I'm just going to wait a couple minutes and I'll start sharing my presentation with you. Roberto and I this morning will go over several items, including what is VRAR Association, what's our mission, and why we actually put together this event, and what you should be looking forward to get out of this event, and who you should contact if you had any questions post session. So just 1 minute as I share my screen. Also, can everyone confirm you guys can hear me? Just write in the chat yes or no. Perfect. Okay. Okay, let's get started. So as I mentioned, my name is Sarah Ennis. I am the Vancouver Chapter President. In the backstage in a couple minutes, he will join me, Roberto. He's the Seattle Chapter President. We both have day jobs. I'm the Global Innovation Director of Intergalactic Agency, which I will tell you guys a little bit about today. And so today's agenda is going to start with this kickoff, talking about what is VRAR Association, what's our mission, how you can leverage it best, who you can contact if you wanted to actually inquire about the membership. But really, I was going to give you guys, in my portion at least, my experience with VRAR Association, why I originally, a few years back, joined, how it's been helpful for my company, Intergalactic Agency, and my own network. And maybe that would be helpful for you guys in case you were thinking of joining or were on the fence, or actually kind of wanted to know, you've recently joined and wanted to know how to best leverage the association. And then Roberto will go through really what it is that today we're going to talk about, and really why this event really was put together. So I was going to give you guys a warm welcome. I know we have attendees from across the world, which to my surprise, I saw some attendees all across Europe, along with West Coast of US and Canada. Originally, the event was really meant to connect only the regional area, but you're welcome to join, and we are happy to have you guys here. We have several attendees in today's meeting from several really respected brands, including Walmart, Unity, etc. So I really hope this is going to be a useful event for everyone. Robert and I had been talking about this a while back when we met at a global summit in Miami, and we thought about having a series of these events. I need to mention that this is first in the series, and I've had other chapter presidents from all these areas that you saw on the map, let's say Orange County, LA, San Francisco, Silicon Valley, etc. They all have helped put together this first in a series of events. And we thought for the first one, we'll make it virtual, and we have a large number of attendees. So we just wanted to kind of test the waters and see how many people will be interested in something like this. We realized that innovation does not happen in silo. And we really wanted the region to share the knowledge and the wisdom and to help each other push the boundaries of XR and talk about the term I like the most, the art of the possible with extended reality, and really to provide opportunities to be an active member of the XR community and engage through collaboration, maybe through collaborations on different projects and opportunities, or learn from each other and connect to the community as a whole and grow your knowledge and your network. So thank you for joining today. And as I mentioned, Roberto will go into deeper details of what today is about. But I wanted to tell you first a little bit about my journey of why I joined VRAR Association a while back. So I actually came to know about VRAR Association a few years ago, I think about 4 or 5 years ago, when it was maybe not as big as it is today. We have 60,000 members globally, and so back then I realized the value of the network, because all this cutting edge advanced technology was happening in silo, and I kind of wanted to know about the art of possible and grow my network. So currently I work with a company called Intergalactic Agency, and we do custom advanced tech innovation. And one of these advanced tech includes extended reality. So as you see in the background, this is just an example of a retail activation we did for Microsoft for the Minecraft game, so that the retail store becomes a scavenger hunt through an AR scavenger hunt, WebAR, and basically it helped boost Minecraft products by 250%. So this is a very high ROI case. And we talked about this as well as many other examples like this in one of the committees called the Retail Committee. So as you can see, VRARA Association has these pockets of knowledge network and committees and specific industry areas if you really want to specialize and talk and learn about what it is that is possible to grow your network. But it also, as I was going to mention, has other resources. So the one I was mentioning, your Retail Committee, is one of the 20 plus. Yesterday I think I counted, it was 25, 26 committees, and these are very interesting. So we have an enterprise committee, we have an educated committee. So education committee. Sorry. So I really, if you haven't, encourage you. If you're new, go read about it. See all these different committees that we have. The website is VRARA.com. If you're new and you don't know how to leverage best, I'd say start with the committees. We have monthly meetups. For example, the Retail Committee has an event I'm going to talk about later. And we really do knowledge share, and we have an accumulation of not only the tech industry, but also the actual end users. So for example, in the case of retail, many brands that would attend these sessions and really help each other with that knowledge sharing and innovation that is going to happen, again, not in silo, but as a collaboration. So the mission of VRAR Association is we are an international organization that we're designed to foster collaboration between solution providers and end users. As I mentioned, for example, with the Retail Committee, you'll see both. And this will in turn basically accelerate growth, foster research and education, and helps develop industry best practices, connects member organizations, and promotes the services of member companies. In that sense, we are a bit of a unicorn, and really have ROI from joining the association. So we have about 100 plus episodes and a very popular podcast series. We have, as I mentioned, 65,000 members or contacts. Our monthly website visits is over 24,000, and we have 60 plus chapters worldwide. So in today's meeting, we have the West Coast chapters on the United States, as well as Vancouver, really represented. And we have 100 plus major events per year. And we also have a member Slack portal. So a lot of you may have joined because I had Slacked and let everyone know about this interesting event that's coming up today. On that note, wanted to tell you about some of these exciting events that are happening this year and also in the next 30 years. So a lot of you may have heard of the Immersive Global Summit the date is called 2024. So that's basically, I think it's supposed to say it's for this year. It's basically this year in October 17 to 19 in Orlando. I was there last year and I can highly speak of it. My company in particular partnered with one of the largest companies in the world on a deal that we are likely going to go ahead with this year. So it was a win-win for my company. It was a win-win for the other attendees because they were looking for a skill set that they didn't have, and we were looking for an opportunity like that we could contribute to. In the next 30 days, we will have the Enterprise Retail Forum on August 31st. Again, a very interesting event. If you're not a member, become a member because it's member only. If you are a member, please make sure to mark your calendars and register for it online. The details are on the VRAR website, I believe on the landing page currently. And there is also a training experiences from creating training experiences from scratch through Unity that's coming up July 20th. Again, if you go on the VRAR website, you can actually find the links to where you can register for these. And lastly, I just wanted to give you guys our contact information. If you had any questions about joining the Vancouver chapter, you can contact me through my email addresses, both at Intergalactic and the VRARA. And Roberto's email address is also listed there. I am now, with that being said, adding Roberto to this stream so he can actually take this from here on.
Perfect. Hi, Sarah. Thank you. And hello, everyone. My name is Roberto Haza. As Sarah introduced myself, I am the president of the Seattle chapter, and very excited to be collaborating with Sarah today and the West Coast chapters to get this off the ground with this first virtual event. As Sarah briefly mentioned, this is a collaboration that she and I started speaking about in the previous Global Summit in Miami last year. And we believe the West Coast has such a deep knowledge base and size of companies that it would be remiss for us to not try to get together. So we have West Coast chapters joining us today. We have an amazing couple of speakers that will have plenty of time to talk us about XR analytics to start us with. And later, after the networking session, we'll have the perfect integration of AI as it relates to XR and going beyond the hype with our second speaker. So we have prepared a very robust couple of hours today to kick off this first of the series, as Sarah mentioned. And again, today's is virtual. We hope the next one can be in person, where we can try it all out. Many of us have been in the Global Summit, where you can try everything on, where you can see the analytics firsthand, where you can see products on site, where you can see things that are new, that are not in market, that are only in person, that you can touch and feel, put on the headset, try on the mobile experiences. So we hope to get that going on the West Coast in the coming events. I want to also invite you all to become a member. Today's event is free. We cannot keep doing free events forever. And so to take advantage of joining all the events that we have been putting together, I want to invite you to become members either on the Vancouver or wherever chapters we have over, as Sarah showed in the website, over 60 chapters worldwide where people like Sarah or myself can welcome you and invite you to take advantage of the tools that the VRARA as a global organization has put together for us. And here in the Seattle chapter, I took the helms as president late last summer when everything was quiet coming out of the pandemic. And I have been doing marketing and putting marketing programs together for the previous 20 years. And when I started getting frustrated with only Zoom calls and all these things that was really isolating, I couldn't create the eye contact that the pandemic put us all in isolation, right? I got frustrated and trying to find technology solutions for that. I started diving deep into augmented reality and virtual reality again from my marketing days, trying to get audiovisual communication across. And I saw the mind-blowing experiences and mind-blowing quality that technology was having last year post-pandemic, right? And when I was trying to reach for what can I do here in Seattle, where I'm based off, I couldn't find much activity. So I raised my hand, I became a member really quick. I reached out to headquarters and say, hey, can I just get activities going here in the Seattle area? So since the summer of last year, I started the virtual meets. Everything is recorded in our YouTube channel, also accessible in the VRARA.com website /Seattle. Everything is becoming a repository of content and connections. That is what got me excited and keeps me going. And as part of my Seattle chapter, I don't know if Sarah, if you have Julia Bibb out in backstage, but Julia has been an integral part for the activity that we have going this year. We're now not only virtual, but we also have in-person events. We have been going since March, once a month virtual, once a month in person, with companies like Snapchat and the producing studios that create amazing experiences for mobile AR showing us how things are done. So that's how we're operating in Seattle, and this collaboration with Vancouver has been nothing other than exciting, and with the rest of the West Coast chapters. So I see you, Sarah, coming back on. Again, we're planning here in the Seattle area exclusive events that will be members only. So again, invite anybody joining these sessions to join us. We have a kiosk here for the Seattle Design Festival later this summer. We're looking for anybody that has VR or AR experiences that you want to showcase to the public. It will be down in South Lake Union. We secure that table. Just reach out to me directly. Let's get you on the kiosk and get your experience and the services that you offer for VR and AR out to the public. And also exclusive events like we'll have a small set of members that will to join Blue Origin, soon to be announced later in the fall. So all these events will be members only, where you will always be able to join and see. But if you want to participate and get the word out, this is the association to join, right? Anything else, Sarah, that you want to add to this before turning it over to you?
Actually, no, you did a great job in really introducing the Seattle chapter and talking about today's event. I kind of wanted to shift gears and tell people what to expect for the rest of today. So, not 20. I was thinking about the next thing I was going to say. Roberto and I will get off the stage shortly at 11:20 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will have Tony, the CEO and founder of Cognitive 3D. I will let him do the proper introduction because I don't want to butcher it. But I personally am very excited about the work that Cognitive 3D has been doing. I've talked about it at the Consumer Technology Standards Forum recently, and I can't wait for you guys to also become familiar. When you think about, 3D or XR, you only think about gimmicky stuff, but we don't talk about gimmicky stuff in the AR/VR Association. We try to talk about value-adding applications, and Tony has created some really cool analytic tools for XR that he can give us some case study examples and really educate us on that use case. That's really exciting. After Tony is done, around 11:45, the stage will basically shut down for about 20 minutes. There will be networking. I have maxed it to about 5 minutes, and I believe the minimum is 2 minutes. So you're not able to get out of it once you're in it. But I do really encourage you guys to get on networking, because I was looking at the attendees list and it's pretty impressive. So please go on and network with each other for about 20 minutes. Then the stage is back live, and we will have from 12:15 to 1:15 Pacific Standard Time, we will have a chat with Boaz Ashkenazi, the founder and CEO of Simply Augmented, as well as Ashwin Kadaro, sorry if I'm butchering your names, CTO of Simply Augmented. And we will talk about the role of AI in XR, which I know a lot of you are excited to hear about because it's a very exciting topic. I know we're about 2 minutes early, but I will give the 2 minutes to Tony to properly introduce himself and then actually start the presentation. Or sorry, it just became 1 minute now. So Tony, I'm adding you to stream and I'm taking off myself and Roberto. Thank you, everyone. And I will stop also presenting.
Awesome. Just wanted to provide a quick thanks to Sarah and Roberto for kicking off the presentations and festivities for today, as well as the VR Association for having me on today's presentation, today's event. I noticed that she mentioned there's a whole bunch of people that are not necessarily on the West Coast. So I'm going to take just a moment before I throw my slides up to talk about Vancouver in particular. and we'll just go from there and into my presentation. But I was running a startup prior to Cognitive 3D in the Orlando area, which is also a great place to build a startup. It wasn't as prominent in the VR space back in 2015 when I started building this company, and decided to relocate back to my hometown of Vancouver. And these are incredible communities to be a part of, and a great place to grow a startup. And I think it's important for organizations like the VRARA to promote and foster community connections, and help elevate our companies that are local in this area to a global stage, and give us the opportunities that we need to be able to succeed. Vancouver as an ecosystem is very strong. We have a traditional digital media background, as well as a massive gaming industry that is fantastic for building a company, as well as a great immigration policy as well. And so I would just touch on the fact that Vancouver is an incredible market to start your VR company if you're going down that path. And a great place to kind of grow a business and still be accessible to the rest of the world. So that's just my Vancouver soapbox before I get started. But couldn't be happier growing a company in this particular market. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of get into my slides here. So my name is Tony Bevilacqua. I'm the founder and CEO of Cognitive 3D. I started talking a little bit about my background just a minute ago, but just wanted to give you some quick background on what I do and where I come from. So Cognitive 3D, we focus on analytics for virtual, augmented, and mixed reality. I'm a second-time founder, which means that I had a startup prior to this. I was kind of a chief product officer of a company that was focused kind of in the mobile analytics category. And so one of the things that I picked up on, kind of through the process of building that product, is we were starting to get into distributing our product with games. And, typically mobile games at that particular point in time in 2014, 2015, took the opportunity to get out to the Game Development Conference and saw a pretty interesting demo from a company called Oculus, which I thought was really, really interesting. And I think back then it was like DK2 was probably what I was taking a look at. But really kind of learned that, maybe I was building the same thing. I was building kind of a product that was similar to some of the bigger players in the space, which back then it was Flurry, had been acquired by Yahoo, and now it was moving into Mixpanel was kind of the primary player in the space. And I really felt like there was an opportunity for innovation in the virtual, augmented, and mixed reality category. And so I went off on this, kind of fact-finding mission, going to different types of community events out in the market, and realized that there was a fantastic opportunity to take my analytics knowledge that I had established at the prior startup, but apply it to a new category where we could innovate and create a new and interesting product. And so, the thesis that we had when we founded the company was, what if we could use the headset as a vehicle for data collection? And that's really kind of the basis of my business and, where we've taken the product since. I've got a little bit of bait in my deck with regards to the title of my presentation. This is called Leveraging Virtual Augmented Reality Analytics to Gather Insights from the Metaverse. And so I'd like to kind of set the stage on what I mean by the Metaverse. Obviously, there's a lot of really fundamental technology being built right now. And the reality is that the Metaverse, to me, represents not just that fundamental technology of what it means to build for the Metaverse, but really some core and key concepts that I think will need to come to fruition over time, but are being worked on by really fantastic companies and startups, as well as established players across the board. So from a definitions perspective, the Metaverse for me is really identified in a few key concepts. I look at the standard and interoperability of avatars. So my ability to embody a character of my choice and move that character or that presence or that representation between worlds. and really that interconnection and seamless interoperability, right? And so what does that mean? The ability for applications to link together. You know, we think about the earliest days in the internet, you know, you had to really know how to find resources. This is kind of like pre-Google, right? And if you think about what Google did, they indexed pages that were linked together and found you paths to find new information. They created a ubiquity in the ability to move between different types of content in a very seamless way. And really that's what the metaverse needs to thrive, is the kind of the hyperlink, the ability to move and interconnect between these worlds in a really seamless way. And I think that when we think about the core concept of the metaverse, there really is some of this protocol already. Now, can I move my Roblox character into Rec Room or VR Chat? No, I can't. But, you know, in the future, when we're thinking about what the metaverse will ultimately be, you know, a Roblox is a place that you can create worlds. A Rec Room is a place you can create worlds. And perhaps I can embody a character in both of those places. And so the idea with the metaverse here is that it, you know, gives us that ability and that portability to enable growth in the metaverse and create a situation of interoperability. Now, you know, this is not the first time that a terminology like metaverse has really, you know, taken the main stage. I do find it an interesting marketing term, and I'm actually not a huge fan of it. But, you know, from my perspective, the reason that the metaverse has really taken off is really the media's interest and attraction in marketing term that's not all that ready for prime time. And I think that one thing you can reflect on with the terminology of the metaverse is ubiquity with the term the internet. And, you know, in the early days of the internet was not the internet. The internet was AOL. It provided a value proposition. It represented something you do, right? And you dialed up to AOL. You did not dial up to the internet. And so when we think about what is the metaverse is really the interconnection between all of these different things, but not necessarily the appropriate marketing term to do so. So this is kind of my long-winded way of just kind of outlining the fact that, you know, the connection between these worlds is really the important piece of this, and the fundamental technology of being able to have these 3D experiences is kind of the core of what everybody's building today. And so when we think about this dawn of the metaverse, you know, it kind of follows along the lines of what we're already seeing in the 3D immersive experiences that we're seeing in virtual, augmented, and mixed reality. There's really this paradigm shift that's happening from 2D screens into 3D experiences. And so, you know, when we think about what that means, we're really looking at users moving from very passive content consumption focused experiences to something that's a little bit more like content participation. You know, I take issue with folks that call, you know, people that are in the headset users as opposed to participants. And we've kind of taken that position at Cognitive, that we're going to call somebody that in the headset a participant, because the reality is they're not using a piece of content you created, they are participating within it. And if we think about the traditional way that this technology is being measured, you know, existing mobile analytics tools focus on passive engagement. So they're thinking about, you know, taps and clicks and how people are engaging through the screen. These are, you know, easily measured by events. They can be measured by funnels and conversion using charts and graphs. When we take a user that's embodied, that can participate within a world, immersive technology is exponentially more personal. It's much more behavioral, and users have agency within the simulation to not only consume that content, but participate within it. And so the traditional analytics that we see out in the market for traditional, you know, tools, so we think about web, we think about mobile, you know, other IoT type analytics tools as well, really not sufficient for capturing the full scope of what it means to embody character and participate inside a metaverse. And really for us, this was, you know, kind of hard learning back in 2016. I made the same mistake as everybody else that was kind of competing with me in this particular category. And I really started to kind of noodle on this idea of the evolution of metrics. If user participation in 3D is exponentially different, there's really greenfield opportunities in measuring human behavior and how people interact. And I kind of alluded to this on the last slide, but the reality is that these standard consumption methods, we think about kind of like Web 1.2.0, we are very much focused on clicks, typing, bounce rate, time on page, those types of interactions, because they were very basic. There was not a ton of additional input that you could potentially leverage. When we started to shift to mobile, the experiences became more on rails. They had a very specific path or journey that you could follow as you move through those screens. And optimization became a little bit more about the funnel in terms of how the content was going to be consumed and engaged with by the user. Then we started to see a more introduction of other inputs. So mobile brought GPS and spatial orientation and the gyroscope and the camera and other types of technological capabilities as well. So when we think about virtual, augmented, and mixed reality, this is where we start seeing kind of this fundamental shift. We're not talking about moving from maybe a website into a linear, mobile experience. We're really talking about unleashing a person inside a world, right? And so when we think about how do we measure human behavior within space, you start to think about, well, what does space offer? What can we leverage using the headset as a vehicle for data collection to be able to understand how they're engaging within that environment. And so where we started off was a few different things. We started looking at head movement, right, which helped give us what we called inferred gaze. So being able to understand the vector of what a user was looking at and how they engaged within content. 3D positioning, so how they move through space, right, what they're doing with their hands, right, as well as any biometrics that might come along with that. And that could include things like eye tracking. It could include other supplemental biometrics as they become available. And so for us, this is really that greenfield opportunity of where we could potentially build something to better understand the human condition inside of a metaverse. And so when we think about how we're going to take these new metrics or these new inputs and be able to leverage them for capturing the full depth of behavior within a metaverse, we had to start kind of thinking about what are the things that we could do to be able to extract insights from these types of environments. And so a good example would be that inferred gaze that we talked about before. This really gives us some insight around what users might be looking at with their eyes. And, when you think about the value proposition of what you can understand from these environments, at the very far side of the spectrum in training and simulation, you might be interested in, situational awareness, right? What drew and kept their attention within a particular training simulation. You take that exact same input and apply it to the retail CPG category, like Sarah was talking about. You might be able to test planograms, right? Or test product placement within a particular store. What, placement achieves the best result in a user noticing your product. Same thing could be applied to the automotive category. You're trying to design a new vehicle. Maybe you're testing a new design of the dashboard. Was the user able to find the things that they need to within that particular experience? Another great example would be with 3D positioning, right? We think about 3D positioning as two different sides. The first one is position within your physical space. So when you put on a headset, being able to understand how you consume the room around you. Are we drawing you into the wall? Are we not drawing into the wall? Are we keeping you centered within your world? But the more bigger opportunity in that category is understanding how the user consumes the virtual world, how users move through 3D space. And so an example of how we could use that would be like wayfinding and signage, right? So if you're working in the AEC category, for example, and you build a digital twin of a building, train station, airport, those types of things, being able to leverage gaze could give you the opportunity to look at signage and the effectiveness of that signage, and being able to understand the 3D position that goes along with that. Did the user find the path to the location that they're looking? Maybe they were looking for the washrooms or a particular area of the terminal, being able to understand the path that the user took in a particular space. How users move their head can give you some information about things like ergonomics, right? Are we drawing the user into uncomfortable types of situations above and beyond the inferred gaze? Hand movements, how people are inputting within that environment. What are they picking up? What are they grabbing? What are they putting down? And then finally, the biometrics, which come in around more advanced research, right? Where you've got the consent of a user, maybe the additional inputs that you might want to be able to collect to understand the user's physical condition in a particular environment. Good example would be being able to understand a pilot's cognitive load or heart rate during an emergency situation. Might be an area where you would want to leverage biometrics in conjunction with having that pilot embodied within a hard to replicate virtual environment. And so when we thought about building out these capabilities, we looked at what the typical metric that you would see in kind of the mobile category and how we would flip that on its head and come up with a new metric for the immersive category. So instead of events, we're tracking how a user might move through space and where important things happen. So important things can be valuable, like a in-app purchase or picking up an item or dropping an item. Could also be something that's important to optimize for, like a user prematurely removing their headset. Instead of looking at viewability, did the user look at a particular page, or how long did they spend in that particular category? Being able to understand what draws and keeps human attention. And instead of funnels, being able to take disparate, very kind of unrelated spatial data sources and turn these into very objective performance outcomes within a particular environment as well. And so, if we think about the challenge with collecting so much data, is the need to be able to isolate the signal from the noise. And so, there's obviously an opportunity in collecting data, but there's also a challenge in isolating and identifying important insights from that information. And so when we think about measuring the metaverse, it's really important to develop a hypothesis and identify what you ultimately might want to measure from these types of environments. So that'll give you an idea of how you're going to integrate a data collection tool. Might give you some insight into the types of telemetry that you need to collect, additional sensors that might kind of help you with your hypothesis. The second piece is really around proving your hypothesis by collecting data from the metaverse. And, there's obviously traditional tools you could use to collect some of the data, but ultimately, having a tool that is, advanced enough that you can use it to collect behavioral data could be, video recordings or other types of things early on in your research to give you the insights you're looking for. And then ultimately analyzing those results and coming up with an answer to a hypothesis that you might ultimately have. And so, an example of what this might look like is kind of what I'm showing on the screen here. If we created our measurement plan, we've got our user here. His name's John Smith. He's a warehouse associate in New York for a big company. And we're trying to understand John's ability to wayfind and identify a particular element of this experience is really trying to find the appropriate packaging as quickly as possible for picking and shipping. And so there's a few different things we evaluated in this case. We looked for, did the user put on their PPE, or the participant, making sure they actually put on their safety equipment. Second one was really around, did they find the box or the item, and did they do that in an effective amount of time? And then the third piece is that did they scan that item and ultimately pick it? And so, being able to understand how users are interacting with your app can really be fundamental for being able to, demonstrate your ROI, within a particular program to your customers. And using tools like Cognitive would give you the ability to understand not just that a particular activity happened, but also understand the context of where something happens within a simulation as well. Once you have those answers, right, and this can be used in any environment. We're looking at one right now. This is a little fantasy game that my team built internally just for demos and stuff like that. You have that ability to leverage the spatial data to make really informed decisions about how you might be able to improve your content, or measure the effectiveness of that content and how it's ultimately being deployed. And this one's an example of a tool called Scene Explorer. Gives you the ability to do a one-to-one replay of exactly what a user did, how they behaved, how they moved through space, and ultimately how they engaged. And so tools like this, alongside being able to evaluate objectives or other types of criteria within the experience, can be a really powerful tool to enable an iterative process of improving content. Not just through improving the ability for users to progress, but also improving things like comfort and immersion within content as well. And with that said, I wanted to just jump over to, wow, that's really fun. Jump over to dashboard. One of the best parts about doing a online conference is that I can jump into a live demo and not worry about conference internet. I wanted to show you a new dashboard that we have put together. This is called Dash 3.0. And so one of the things that we've been spending a lot of time on recently is on a concept we call quality. One of the things that we've really spent a lot of time with the OEMs as well as other stakeholders in the industry is we've really realized that above and beyond like a web or a mobile app, content quality is actually a material problem for not just content providers, but also the platforms themselves. And so one of the things we've realized here is that if you put a bad app on your mobile phone and you don't like that app, you just delete it or don't open it again. If you buy a VR headset and put somebody into an uncomfortable piece of content, you really have the material ability to get that person sick or give them a really poor introduction to what it means to be in immersive content. And so the surface area, as well as the stakes, are really high for developers to be able to achieve high levels of performance, not just in that the app runs well, but also that it's comfortable and generates the value proposition of immersive experiences really well as well. And so what we're trying to avoid here is, obviously we want the developers to be successful in producing comfortable quality applications that people want to play, but we also want to defer that user from putting that headset back in the box and taking it back to the store because we gave them a really bad time. So our approach to this was really to build 3 barometers for this industry. We created what's called a comfort score, a presence score, and an application performance score. Looks like a pretty standard analytics dashboard, but when you start digging in, this barometer really kind of gives you an indication of where you're seeing problems within your experience and the types of things you can improve in the immersive category to build better content. And so the app performance score, for example, is around 52. We're only maintaining about 65% of our users against 60 hertz. You can't get an app lab if you can't keep that at 100%. And if you want to be in the Quest store, you need to be at 72 and above, right? So this gives you really, specific indications of where you need to be spending your time. Also looks at things like battery efficiency and how you might be able to build better quality content. And we also have the ability to look at things like refresh rate more on a spatial basis, right? So, like where are we seeing bad performance in this particular application? Where should I spend my time as a developer to optimize and build better content? And we take that a step further when we get into spatial optimization. We start thinking about controller ergonomics, pose, orientation, refresh rate, all these different types of inputs that drive quality within these spatial experiences, including posture around things like high, medium, and low strain consumer ergonomics and pose. And so if you think about it, these are really the material elements of these experiences that are actually really important for developers to achieve to build a successful application. And so really quality drives not just app retention, but also platform retention. Bad experiences can drive platform attrition. And then, comfort, immersion, and performance scores can help deliver. Oh, deliver on performance scores, and help deliver a barometer of quality. And I don't know if you could see my or hear my audio, but I'm going to go ahead and play this anyway, and I'll go ahead and wrap it up. So we've got our VR developer here. This is our after action review, where you can actually watch the user and see what they did and how they behaved, how they moved through space, where they achieved different objectives, where they got stuck and angry. Also important stuff like where the user quit or removed their headset. Works with Unity as well as Unreal. It's simply an SDK. Awesome. And that really concludes my presentation for today. Like I said, my name is Tony Bevilacqua. I'm the founder and CEO of Cognitive 3D. Our platform is entirely free. So if you're interested in getting started with the platform, there's a QR code on screen, or you can just go to cognitive3d.com and sign up. You're able to use the tools for a wide variety of different use cases. On the enterprise side, there's a 30-day trial for some of our more advanced features and capabilities. And happy to walk you through a one-to-one demo if you're interested in taking a look.
Thank you so much.
Pass it back to Sarah.
For your time. I personally found it super exciting and informative. Thank you again. With that being said, I wanted to let you guys know we have a bit of a break on the state side of things. So we have a networking schedule from now till 12:15. Again, it ranges between 2 to 5 minutes, and I highly encourage you to network. As I looked at the attendees list, and it looks very interesting. So I will stop the streaming now, and we will come back at 12:15, where we will have our speakers Boaz and Ashwin take us through AI when it comes to XR, and some really cool questions are to be answered. So thanks everyone, and see you back at 12:15.